So that touch is taken into the path of the defender. So is there another challenge? That
She's on Facebook.
Yeah,
So they're off.
Like, oh, this kid.
You're the red one. You're the red one. You might have to move a bit closer, Paul.
Welcome to KG5 for the MPL Tasmania. It's Hobart Zebras and Glenorchy Knights, two custodians of this venue, ready to go head-to-head. And this should be an interesting battle between 4th and 5th. The Zebras looking to make a little bit of a gap to the Knights in 5th. If Knights win, they could jump them. So an interesting day here this Sunday in the formation of the league and the standings. And here to call the action with me is Paul Hunt. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, Andrew Cooling. Pleasure to be here, as always, on a sun-soaked King George V Park here this afternoon. It is a beautiful day for football, and these two teams, it's always great when these two can match up at the highest level in Tasmania. Two of the storied clubs, particularly of the post-war era, along with Olympia Warriors, both have 60 years history from their respective migrant communities, and it's always a tough, honest contest between these two. Knights having been in the Southern Championship the last few years, we haven't seen this contest in the league for quite some time, and I think both teams and both sets of fans will be up for it indeed. But despite being next to each other on the table, I would imagine the Zebras would go into this contest as fairly heavy favourites. Knights had a good win over Kingborough Lions 4-1 here the other week, but the Hobart Zebras can get their shooting boots on, I would wager they're a strong favourite, Andrew.
Sorry, just getting the blog set up. Doubling up here today at KG5. But yeah, it's going to be a cracking contest. I agree that Zebras will go in fairly comfortable favourites into this one. They've shown a little bit of inconsistency with their finishing in front of goal. They've still been a little bit profligate, I think, for what they're going to need to be if they're going to make a serious title bid, and they'll need to sharpen up in front of goals today. But Knights have struggled against the teams above them on the table so far, and with a couple more injuries, no Magic Man today, which is obviously a great disappointment for all of us. Bellini coming down with a calf injury, the latest one to join that ever-growing injury list at Knights, and that does leave them up against it against an opponent like the Zebras, who have shown they've got plenty of goals in them. Yeah,
absolutely, and Zebras are getting back to full strength. They've had their squad stretched it a couple of times as well so far this season, but they've got a few niggling injuries, and Luke Huxley's obviously still unavailable, but the majority of their squad is available here this afternoon. We'll get a look at those teams relatively soon, so we can go through them for you. And there we are with the Hobart Zebras. And that is a pretty strong lineup. Having first look at it, you've got the big Czech striker Jan Hrutza, centre back there, looking after Matthew Nowicki probably here today. Riley Dillon, the Stone Cold. Nicky Edwards, Jaden Hay looks like he's going to set up in centre midfield. Tommy Little at the back as well. Geordie Muller, a big inclusion for the Zebras. Good to have their metronome midfielder back. Matty Pace, Matthew Sanders, those the two main finishing outlets, despite how, as you mentioned, how profligate they've been of late. They have got a few goals against Riverside just the other week. Dwayne Walsh, Sam Watman, and well, Ryo Yonezawa as well. On the bench, Ackley, Fag, Jones, Sunday McEwen, and Nathan Reid. A pretty strong lineup there, Andrew. Yeah, very strong Zebras lineup. And a consistent 11 is something perhaps we've not seen from Zebras too much in the past, but same starting 11 from last weekend. Rotated a little bit in the Cup midweek.
against Clarence. But I think that continuity can be a very underrated part of, I guess, building into a season, and results you'd imagine will get better the longer players play together. Dave Smith down there certainly will be keen for 3 points in this one. Knows his team have to win it. Declared it a must-win game on Friday at the press conference. He knows how important it is to not cede any more ground to the likes of Devonport, Olympia and South. Those other teams pushing up the table. And as I said, if the Zebras do win today, there will be a bit of a gap between the top 4 and the rest. So we'll see how pronounced that gets. We might move along to the Glenorchy Knights side now, taking on the Hobart Zebras, and you'll see a few returning to that squad. George Hallard back from suspension on the bench, as they got a fair bit of depth about them this year, the Knights, but still missing a couple of their top-end players. Declan Brown having an incredible year. Rowan Heggie, interesting to see him in the starting lineup. Hauled off after 30 minutes last time we saw the Knights, but has earned another crack at it, it would seem. Declan Brown just been brilliant. Jade Clay, we'll see where he lines up. He was subbed on as a winger last week, which he was saying on Friday surprised even himself. He may well get worked into an advanced attacking role again this week with Bellini out. Callan Griffin, first 30 minutes was absolutely fantastic against South Hobart a couple of weeks ago. Really liked what I saw from him. Probably still building up to match fitness, but has shown a bit. Lockie Hardwick and Tyler Harrison will probably partner each other in the middle of the defence. Looking at the rest of that lineup, you'll have Heggie. We've seen as a left wing role. Not sure where he'll bob up today. Samuel James has been in great form in the midfield, really having a quality season. And then Nicholas Naden has been very sharp in attack too, really playing with confidence at the moment. Naden running at defenders, taking them on. Dimmy Nesta will stand between the sticks. And big Matthew Nowicki, well, he was the star man against Kingborough. It was the Nowicki hat-trick, the goal, the assist, the reckless yellow card. We'll see if he can chalk up another one of them today. And then Matthias Toghill. And that's perhaps the big part of this game today, which I am dubbing the Sean Toghill Cup this match. I haven't seen him around the traps too much this year. Tasmania's #1 football supporter, the most passionate supporter there is, has been firmly supporting the Zebras the past couple of years in the absence of his son Matthias. Matthias now lining up for Knights, but I've not heard Togsy yelling "come Knights" just yet, so perhaps his support is up for grabs. The Zebras versus his son, which is the bigger pool. I think whoever wins today might get his support.
It could be
Sean Toghill Cup.
It could be the deciding factor here. I'm all about the Sean Toghill Cup. As you were saying, I was trying to see if I could see him. He used to like to occupy the far side of the ground. Exactly. Even in conversation form, pre-match, you'd be able to hear him. And look, come Knights, the music version are missing a band member, as one of them did leave for South Hobart, so there is a slot available in both Come Knights, the band, and just supporting them in general, and I reckon Togsy could just slide in there as well.
Could be the key. So, which is the bigger pool? Is it Matthias, or is it the Zebras, who he's grown to love the past couple of years? I tend to lean towards the latter, but we'll wait and see whether
he needs one of those.
Whether love is unconditional or not.
Will he turn up in a half shirt like I think it was Cow Bacchus's mum did Melbourne City versus Western Sydney Wanderers last week in the A-League, had a half Wanderers, half City shirt. Could we see the first ever half Zebras, half Knight shirt? It'd be unheard of in Tasmanian football.
But yeah, definitely a big element of today's game. A slightly bigger element. The man in the middle there, Stratos, our centre ref for this one. And this is a massive 3 points for both these sides today, I feel. I do fancy the Zebras to take it. I think they'll get the job done. But a Knights side with some real firepower, who are capable of a few goals. And given the way the Zebras have been finishing in recent weeks, they don't want to leave the door ajar for them, Paul.
They certainly don't. Dave Smith even flagged that in his pre-match press conference, where I thought it was an interesting tactic to pretty much spell out what his tactics will be for this game. He pretty much said that the Knights' strongest area of the park is their front four. And to be fair, he's not wrong there, Dave Smith. It's good identifying it, and it'll be interesting to see what he does tactically to do that. But up front with the Colonel Sanders, you give him enough chances, he will eventually score, despite what happened here a couple of weeks ago, where he had a curse on, clearly put a hex on the goal on the left-hand side. And it seems like they'll be lining up as is, no changeover, just the long huddle, which I'm not sure what the point of this is. We'll hear it come Knights. There we go.
Oh, it's dangerously close to 2:30. We were 2 days in a row kicking off just about on time here at KG5. This is unheard of, Paul.
I mean, we did have the asterisk of women's games usually start a bit closer, but 2:34, we're gradually improving here in the NPL. No longer blowing out.
So, Matty Sanders, a former Knight, of course, played some good football for the Glenorchy Knights, now doing his best work with the Zebras, but just been a star goal scorer in Tasmanian football for the longest time, and he'll be hungry to get on the score sheet today. We're just about ready to go now. It's the Zebras and the Knights. It's an old rivalry renewed here at KG5 on Sunday into the final game of round 9 action. We're underway here. Big Jan Harutsa having a fantastic year in the middle of this Zebras defence. Little's misplaced pass picked off by Cal Griffin. Just a little clip there from Pace. Allow play to continue. Matthias Toghill on the right, and he's coughed it up here to Pace. He looks to run at them. Centres the ball for Edwards. Edwards across to Muller. Geordie Muller with a little bit of room here. Out now for Jaden Hay. Hay's cross-charge down and falls the way of Callum Brown. Or Declan Brown, rather. Wrong twin there is Dwayne Walsh into Ryu Yonezawa. Quality player, and that's a dangerous-looking ball over the top for Hay. Puts it towards the back post. Pace was there, and he just clattered into Toghill, and the free kick blown in favour of the Knights. Good start, Zebras, Paul.
Very good start for Zebras. Cal Griffin getting pulled up for taking that free kick about 10 yards in advance of where the foul actually was. Sensible refereeing from Stratos Plomaridis there, and then, well, we were mentioning the Sean Toghill Cup. Also got a Fear the Beard Cup going on here. Dwayne Walsh versus Matthias Toghill, both rocking some very fearsome-looking beards here this afternoon. I don't think they'll come in direct opposition much here this afternoon. And another tasty side note is Stone Cold Riley Dillon lays it back to Harutsa. We have seen the Zebras pretty composed playing it around the back so far this season. Dillon made a bursting run, but his hours pass not quite on the money. The Knights, who are trying to figure out where they'd have everyone playing. It does appear Jade Clay has settled to a more traditional left-back role where you'd expect to see him. And the Wiki up top, and then you've got Naden. The Wiki's going to try and charge this one down. Watman did have that covered the whole way, and letting that one bounce. Risky business from Harrison. Manages to find Naden. Long ball down the line from Naden. Little will keep that one in and stride forward. Wins the throw-in off Cal Griffin, who just magically reappeared the other week, not being cited in the first few games, inserted himself into centre midfield and did not look out of place in the slightest in that game against the Lions. It was Stone Cold Riley Dillon, knocks that one along in the Hay direction. He uses his body well against Harrison. Does Jaden Hay, and then a heavy touch. Geordie Muller aimed to clean up. Good body work there from Declan Brown. Naden. And 2 for company, and manages to win the throw-in.
Toghill with the throw-in. Goes in the Naden direction. Floats over him. Nowicki just backing into Little there. I think he'll fancy himself more against Little in those physical duels and the bulking frame of big Harutsa. He's Geordie Muller. Such a key man for this Zebras team. So much of their play running through him, and Yonezawa. Real keys to this Zebras midfield. Here's Little. Cross to Harutsa. Now Yonezawa, just a rather hurried pass, and it went straight to Jake Clay. Clay drops it in for Griffin. Griffin into a number of Zebras and coughed it up. Sanders now to Muller. Bombing on is Riley Dillon. That'll be a familiar sight. Into Pace. Pace couldn't quite find Walsh as he just put that one in behind him. And the big Dwayne Pipe hustling hard to track it down, but couldn't keep it in play in the end. Very loud set of wheels he's rocking there at the Dwayne Pipe. Very sharp. So throw in, heave down the line from Clay. Good one too, into the path of Brown, who just lofts it over the top for Naden to chest down. Riley Dillon close to him. Naden swings the cross in, deflected off of Dillon, and Little Sweeps it clear. Naden again. Powerful runner. Here's the Knights attacker and in pretty good goal scoring form this year. Declan Brown. Back for James. And James retreats to Clay. Gets around Jaden Hay, then works it down the line, but won't get past Dwayne Walsh. Clay to James. Now Nowicki. Just lost his footing there, and he draws the free kick from Harutza. And a promising position this.
Very much so. Nowicki, the first time he's really squared up against Harutza. I think the referees adjudged that Harutza's left arm was over the shoulder of Nowicki there, holding him back. And we will see James and DJ Heggie over this one. Both teams, Samuel James and Yonezawa, players we've seen in fullback a lot, but playing in central midfield as Heggie will take this one, goes near post, cleared by Dylan. Muller. Eventually Hay will see that one out. And just keeping that in the area of play there is the match manager on the far side. Oh, very well to keep that one in. As we'll see, Toghill has not got a lot of movement in front of him in his defence. So he goes down the line towards Naden. Tommy Little coming across. Naden. Geordie Muller for company. Edwards. No, it was a good nutmeg there by Colonel Sanders, but all for naught. Taken quickly by the Knights. Low driving ball. Little clears as far as Edwards. Dylan. Sanders flicks on. Pace. He wanted the return ball. Geordie Muller going in with the high foot. And Dimi Nesta, who has solidified his #1 status here at Knights under considerable pressure, with Lockie Hart still on the bench. One of the better backup keepers we've got in the league, especially after his game the other week.
Yeah, we've got some serious depth in goals this year, Glenorchy Knights. We've seen 3 different keepers rolled out for them in the NPL. As Naden gets there and gets the free kick against Little. Just getting away from him here at the back. Sobby Little, really heavy touch.
A small lapse in concentration there from Little. Naden quick off his mark.
So Rowan Hecky just looking like he fancies this, although he just really wanted to put the ball down for Samuel James.
Well, his first effort wasn't the greatest free kick, so it wouldn't surprise me if James says, "You've had one go, give me a shot," but maybe the in-swinger is more preferred.
He looks keen. He dummies though, and maybe he should have gone because James's effort is skied horribly over the top.
I mean, at least Heggie's remained in the field of play.
In the suburb. Not his best there. Samuel James, capable of far better, it's fair to say. Watman. Harutza. Big check centre back. Flicked off of Edwards, couldn't keep it in play. Jade Clay. Flicked down by Griffin. Tommy Little just hacking it forwards. And they're offering that shield for his back four. Was James in midfield. Toghill dwells on it. Nick Naden dropping deep. Back inside the bullseye for James. And Hardwick again partnering Harrison at the back with Young still out injured and George Hallard returning from his suspension, but he's on the bench today. A real rotating cast in at centre back for Knights so far this season. Dimi Nesta looked like he'd become the second choice keeper behind Hart, but a couple of very good performances thrust him right back in favourite. Hard to drop him after that type of effort we saw against South Hobart. He was given the opportunity due to Hart's absence and has not relinquished the #1 status with some quality keeping performances. Hay works it to Muller. Now Tommy Little. Spreads it out wide for Riley Dillon. And Stone Cold says, I'm going to take on Toghill and works it in towards Sanders. Good head, though, from Hardwick. Just got a little piece of it to take it away from the Colonel. Nikki Edwards with a sharp turn. Can't get goal side of Jay Clay, though, and went down rather easily there behind 4 goal kicks. So no real clear-cut chances for anyone in the first 10 minutes here, Paul.
No, not for either side. Knights have had a couple of set-piece options that they, in hindsight, wish they did a bit better with, and Zebras have probably been slightly better from open field play. Clay kicks that one out of play, I believe, yes. Called by Brenton Copperer on the near side. Walsh stride forward to take the throw in. Another one rocking the Jesus, the headband kind of look. South American, as that one goes to Hay. Walsh is surrounded by DJ Heggie. Surely an armbar on Heggie there by Walsh. Clay immediately gets his head up, but Nowicki was striding the other way, so he'll go short to Brown. James cleared up and under by Walsh. Hay and James underneath it. 2 hands in the back there, I think, by James. The referee has seen the same thing, so we'll give another free kick. Zebras again will look to play it out through the back. Very settled back four ever since Yonezawa moved into the centre of midfield, and has been Dylan Little, Peruzza and Walsh for the most part. Pace. Changing passes with Dylan. Now the Colonel Sanders down the line for Stone Cold. Inside to Pace. Pace, James comes across. And the clearance falls fortuitously to Heggie. Brown is bombing on if he wanted to hit it first time. Yonezawa just doing enough. And Walsh. Eventually, 3 Zebras players get back, but still going. Here's DJ Heggie, goes towards the back post. Naden tries to knock it back down for Nowicki. Oh, he's hit the keeper square in the middle of the chest, but it's a penalty. Well, he got the head to it, but the challenge coming in from the side, and Plomaridis has pointed to the spot.
We'll have a look on the replay here. Just good perseverance from Heggie. Kept going, swings it in. Naden back across, so he gets the header off, and then the extended leg of Peruzza comes in, and he's pointed to the spot.
And yeah, I'll admit, right exactly where that happened is where our wonderful camera team is set up, so I was glancing between live play and the screen and missed the brutalness of the initial impact. Nowicki still down on the ground, and on reflection, it's
card?
No surprise to see why, as Plomaridis is looking after the health of Nowicki imminently, but potentially something out of the pocket there might not be out of order.
Oh yeah, very surprised that he's held fire on the cards, but anyway, it's going to be a man who's been rolled gold from the penalty spot in Declan Brown. Can he step up and give Glenorchy Knights the lead in this one? Yeah, a slight delay as we just wait for Heggie to get outside of the penalty area. So Declan Brown steps up and he beats Watman. Knights take the lead. 13 minutes into this one. Glenorchy Knights 1-0. And a goal to the good, perhaps the case. They could be a man to the good as well.
Yeah, potentially. The more we look at that replay up here, it does seem a slightly reckless challenge. Brown with good pace on it. Didn't quite get it in the corner. But Watman couldn't quite get the outstretched arm, as there's some movement on the sideline with the stretcher coming out onto the pitch to look at Nowicki, who got back up, gave the thumbs up, but now the extended medical team is heading over. Zebras and Knights out there looking as well, so he looks in a bad way here, does Matt Nowicki. Yeah, not looking good at all. Here's the Knights striker. Well, we do enjoy the occasional joke at Nowicki's expense with his tough style. We do wish him all the best in a situation like this. There is now some genuine concern on the far sideline. Smart of the medical team to put him in the shade as well. And it's a surprisingly warm April day here at KG5. No. We'll await Nowicki to come off the pitch. Just confirming that goal from number 20, Declan Brown. Both sides are using this opportunity to have a drinks break. Now Harutsa coming over to check if he's okay. So his teammate Heggie. Oh, we'll see a little bit of added time here in the first half after that incident, and it's been a pretty even first 14 minutes here. It was the real first clear-cut chance of the game falling to Nowicki. He got good power on the header. Harutsa's foul afterwards has seen him leave the pitch, and coming on would be number 15 for the Knights.
Jake Stewart.
Jake Stewart, thank you very much.
Haven't seen him yet, so I'm assuming he's the most come on there.
I'd completely forgot who the subs for the Knights were then.
I just haven't saw Jake Stewart on the pitch, so I'm assuming that's it. It's Jaden Hayes. Zebras looking to hit back immediately here. How will they respond to going a goal down? Sammy Ortman beaten by a very good spot kick from Declan Brown. Gave him no chance on that one. Long he goes. Tog Hill heads that one down to Riley Dillon. He's going to run up the defence and then roll it through for Pace. Pace cuts it back. Turning in the box was Edwards. Back to Dillon. And he skies his effort over the crossbar. It's a lovely build-up play, but the finish not quite matching that.
Getting back on the front foot immediately, the Zebras. Good attacking intent down the left-hand side. Matty Pace has been involved in a lot of the Zebras action the last couple of weeks, and I think that'll be one of their main outlets here this afternoon, as we confirm it is Jake Stewart coming on. It can play as a central striker. You do often see him out at wing as well, but it is very much a like-for-like replacement as Nesta launches this one in the James direction over his head, and Yonezawa can't find a teammate. Knights throw in. Down the line, Harutsa with the header. Heggie gets up, the two number 9s battling well. Still going at it, Heggie and Walsh. Plummeridis allowing to play on, but Heggie, the judge to have had too much of a nibble at Walsh's ankles. And they'll play it out. The impressive Tommy Little. Game he got sent off here early in the season. I still think he was one of the best on the ground that day. Thomas Little. Harutsa. And Glenn Walsh there, not with his finest moment. And B, Clay to take. He's being a bit generous here. He's got another 5-10 yards to stride up if he wants to, and there he does. And exceeds Jake Stewart, who dropped in short, probably not used to someone as a throw as long as Jade Clay's. And he's certainly got a cannon of an arm, probably due to his pretty good cricket expertise as well. Wouldn't mind him throwing a ball from the boundary at me if I was a wicket keeper. Muller back to Little, who just sends that high in the sky. Eventually, luckily, wins the throw-in.
So here's Pace. It's been lively early in this one. Just got him behind a couple of times with some nice sharp movement. Enjoying being a first team regular in the NPL Tasmania this year, Pace, after just tearing it up in the Magoos for an extended period. Riley Dillon has slid that one through and it lands right into the path of Pace. He's got Hay in the middle, he goes himself. And he couldn't find a way to beat Nesta. That one up over the top there. There's always a tough chance on the angle here, just trying to catch Jimmy Nesta out, but knew where his post was there, the veteran custodian of the Knights net.
Yeah, Pace, Challenge League top scorer last year, as well as just generally tearing it up, I think, from memory.
I think so, yes. Looking to snap him up. Muller does well there. Stooped in, won the header. Yonezawa wins the header and pays the price. Heggie smashing into him, and a slice of cheese coming the way of DJ Heggie here. They really made Yonezawa earn that one. And Jaden Hay just stepping in, telling him to calm down there. Interesting. Always ends up looking worse for the player as Walsh punches this one in the Sanders direction. He flicked on, but there's no one at the back stick. And Naden can let that one roll. So 20 minutes in, I think the Knights be well and truly the happier of the two sides at this point. They've got the lead and good foothold in this game here at the moment. Looking to claim a top 4 scout for the first time. Muller took it away from his marker but went into the path of Heggie. Walsh prevents a good counter-attack, but Heggie just copping a little bit of afters there, I think. Yeah,
unsurprisingly, it was Yonezawa just leaving a slight elbow and shoulder charge in on Heggie there, just letting just a little bit of a sort of that good finger pointing you like to see.
Really just letting him know who's in charge there, Stratos. Here's Jade Clay. Tries to take on Jaden Hay himself. Hay wasn't having a bar of that. Walsh punches it into the throat there of Clay. Did pretty well to control it in the end. And Declan Brown walking the tightrope there. Then just played one that Stewart perhaps wasn't expecting. Dwayne Walsh, clever little dink to take him away from Heggie, who's charging back off the head of pace. And then Harutza beating Stewart, but the ball lands at the feet of Declan Brown. Can he combine with Stewart here? Well, he can't because he gets brought down from behind there by big Ian Harutza, taken quickly. They spread the play out to the far side. Matthias Toghill there. And Toghill goes looking for Jake Stewart, but that one had Sammy Ortman's name all over it.
Ironic cheers from the Zebras faithful behind the net as well. Was Jake Stewart's attempts to rise high. Watman clearly got the height advantage. He's quite a tall player in Sammy Watman. And pace. Looking to go to Muller. Cal Griffin for company. And again coming across is Toghill. The Knights have settled into this match quite well. Sherman's really got them well organised at the back so far. They're not leaving too many gaps, and James seems to be playing a little deeper than he has in weeks gone by. Probably to counter the likes of Muller and Hay running through the middle, and Edwards as well, as the Knights win that one back. Jake Stewart on an island and the whole Zebras defence to deal with. Now Tommy Little. Yonezawa, Harutza. Still applying good pressure are the Knights, forcing him all the way back to the keeper. Looking to spread the play. And in the end it goes down the Hay diddle diddle. Rising high is Toghill. Muller. Dillon. Now it's the Colonel Sanders. What is in the Sanders locker here at the moment? It's a lovely ball to Pace, who just left it behind him. Lovely slide rule ball there from the Colonel. Headed back dangerously. I think it's come off a Knights player. No, it hasn't. It's been called offside.
Yeah, Brenton Copper down there on the line. If it did come off a Zebra, it was a very clear offside decision there for Copper to give. So, long goes Nesta over the head of Jakey Stewart. And Dillon back to Watman. Up and under into the path of Griffin. Did nicely there, Cal Griffin. Worked it back to Naden. Naden to Brown. First time pass. Stewart won't quite get there. Just overcooked it a little there. It was the medium when the medium rare was required.
Yeah, it's needed a bit less pepper on it, that pass. The Knights, we saw them play plenty of that style of football when they were in the championship and making their Laka Seljuk Cup runs over the past few years. Haven't seen as much of it, stepping up to the higher level as Sanders somehow gets that through a wall of red. And Edwards looks up. He's got Dillon on the overlap. Nicky Edwards getting onto the right foot. Jinking. Deflected. Still in the box. It's Hay. Back to Dillon, who goes the curl but puts it well over the top in the end. Zebras finally spreading it from one side to the other. Coach David Smith has been pointing for that to happen for some time down in the technical area, and we can see what dividends can potentially produce. Will be Timmy Nesta to take the goal kick. After playing it out short the last couple of goal kicks, they're electing to lob this one, and maybe short would have been a better option. It's fallen right to Yonezawa. Sanders with a delightful through ball to Pace. Nesta coming off his line and getting there first. Pace was... Edwards, sorry, was adjudged offside in any case.
It's Tog Hill. Jake Stewart as the Knights take over and attack. Naden, did he manage to keep that one in? He did, but the Zebras will win the ball back, the two number 10s. Hay and Griffin. Jaden Hay's been fairly prominent early in this one. Getting on the ball a fair bit for the Zebras in attack. Here's Tommy Little. It's, well, nominally the visitors. Can't really call them that at this venue. The away team in Glenorchy Knights, who will lead this one at the moment by a goal to nil, although Clay's got into some trouble there, and Muller's quick pass was a sharp one. Season 2019. Quite content to knock the ball around, and now Tommy Little trying to force the issue a little and just couldn't hook up with Riley Dillon. And the Zebras finding it difficult to crack this nut at the moment. The Knights' defence are looking pretty well organised today.
Yeah, they certainly are, and they've really done their homework, Sherman, and seen that the Zebras like to play or isolate the fullbacks or get it in between the channel between fullback and centre-back, and James and Cal Griffin in particular are really dropping deep to clog up some of that space, especially when they're in a deep defence. They're almost playing with a double pivot and 2 sixes in the centre midfield, and it's really causing the Zebras a few issues here to start with. Hay, who's now moved more centrally, tried to get on that. Griffin had a lot more time than he thought. He set Naden a task, and Dillon will get there first. Watman passing across the face of his box. Heggie pressuring Harutza, who's done well as DJ Heggie. Harutza comes across and probably wins a goal kick for his team. Corner adjudged. I was trying to see where the quick double deflection went, but the Knights, they're pressing up in sort of 2s and 3s there on the centre-backs, and it is working quite well. It's the second time we've seen the Zebras come undone.
Perhaps slightly unlucky there, big Harutza. Thought did manage to take the last touch off of Heggie. It was a good recovery from the Czech centre-half after he got himself into a bit of trouble there. Under pressure from Heggie. Half an hour into this one, a game of few clear-cut chances, especially from open play. Very few and far between. Samuel James. Look at them crowding Sammy Watman here on the line. Swings it in, and they don't really give anyone a chance. It was poor delivery from James, but the vision from the box there was fascinating. He had about 5 Knights players just standing on the keeper and breaking eventually, but clear plan there to try and impede the big Kiwi.
Well, he's certainly got the size and strength you want in a keeper, Sammy Watman, and it probably would take 4 or 5 Knights crowding around him to make an impact. I think James would really want that delivery back. His set pieces haven't been the best here so far this afternoon as Edwards goes for a surging run. Dillon. Pace one side and Edwards the other. Now Muller, who could turn out and find Walsh, but goes to Hay. Dillon's now can size up the cross. Goes centrally towards Sanders and hits the tracker, and Harrison eventually clears. Thumped into the sky to Yonezawa. The Colonel had 2 half bites at it, but didn't quite get it. Muller. Back to Harutza. Chip through ball. I think he was looking for Sanders to make an onward run, but he was coming back from an offside position. Timmy Nesta comfortably collects, and now it's Hardwick who wants some options. And his option, his execution appeared to be the Zebras' technical area rather than that of Jake Stewart.
So Tommy Little, Muller. Seen the Knights a few times this year, just a little bit vulnerable at the back end of halves. Can the Zebras exploit that here today? It's Pace to Walsh. To Muller with the outside of the boot. There's Little decides to take them on and saunter right through the middle of KG5. Dropped it off for Muller. That's an exceptional ball for Walsh. Wayne Walsh charging down the right. Tidy little ball. Tommy Little's continued his run. He's shot charged down. He might get a second bite. Had suspicions of handball. That one blocked away. Falls to Riley Dillon, who's offside, as he produced a rather stunning shot, but unfortunately the flag had gone up on him.
Let's file that one as one of the best goals not allowed this season. It was a sharp angle for Riley Dillon. Must have been trotting back from that one. Good power on it from Dillon. And all to no avail. It was Harrison. Chips that one down the sideline. Stewart contesting. Yonezawa up to the Colonel. Now Edwards. Paced run inside. He would have preferred him out in some space. DJ Heggie. Brown's making a surging run. So's Clay. Goes to Brown first, who then finds Clay. Clipped afterwards. Jade Clay towards the penalty spot. Yonezawa coming back, and Harutsa thumps that one clear. Looking very threatening on the counter. The Glenorchy Knights here this afternoon is Hay. Looks it to Sanders. It'll be interesting to see whether the next out of play Harutsa gets a talking to or a cheddar. There was a late clip on Brown there just before as Dillon on the far side. Well, here's a chip through ball. No one really there, and Harrison goes the up and under. Little contesting with Stewart. Naden running onto it. It's Nick Naden. 4v4 here for the Knights. Let's see how they can use it. Goes to Stewart. Jake Stewart low ball towards Yonezawa, who clears it. Keeps it in play. There's Jakey Stewart. Has another chance. Goes towards the back post. Walsh gets a little feather on it to take it away from DJ Heggie, but does concede the corner. Does the Dwayne pipe. The Knights really trying to turn the screw here and double their lead. And looks like Harutsa has gotten away with that clip earlier. Will it be Samuel James to take? He's standing nowhere near the corner flag, so it's going to be Declan Brown by the looks of it. They're crowding the keeper again this time here, but now it's starting to run away as it's another low ball. Dillon clears that one. James underneath this one. Beaten out to it in the air. Edwards. Brown coming back from the corner spot. Good work from Edwards, and then well, Dillon whacked that clear, and they wanted pace to run to it, but it was 20 yards in front of him with a defender with a good amount of space, so I thought that was a bit ambitious.
Yeah, quite ambitious. They say aim high, but that was probably pushing it a little. As Sammy Waltman will pick this one up. 10 minutes left in the first half. Can the Zebras work their way back to parity? At the moment, they're chasing this one. The Glenorchy Knights with the lead, thanks to Declan Brown striking home from the penalty spot after the brutal foul from Harutsa on Matthew Nowicki, which has taken him out of the game. And his involvement for the day, unfortunately, cut to a rather premature end. Watman with a low worm burner. That was ugly to Griffin, who just coughed it up straight to Yonezawa. Let them right off the hook there, and might have just invited a little danger on the counter-attack as Riley Dillon works it forward. Dangerous looking ball. Hay unable to get there because sneaking in behind was Samuel James. Clears the area. David Smith, speaking the other day, said with Knights, it's a team that plays with two banks of five, the back five and then an attacking five. And it's probably not too far wrong based on what we've seen for the opening half hour here. There's not been a lot through the midfield. They've played pretty direct and they've had plenty of numbers forward when they have attacked. It's been dangerous as this one's worked to the back post, but it was overhit from Dillon, who's just been that 15% off with his delivery today. Just keeps missing the far corner. The one time he's been spot on was the one time the flag was raised on him. I just wonder if maybe the Sanders curse has just been transferred to a teammate for another week here, Paul. Or
just dispersed across the team. I mean, if you're going to have someone whose shooting boots aren't on, you'd rather at the left back than the central striker. Just getting back to Dave Smith's observation of the 5-0-5 formation, I mean, the only adjustment I'd make here is they're probably playing a 6-0-4. I mean, I think it's just James and Griffin holding back, and then having Heggie, formerly Wiki, now Stewart, Naden and Brown. And that's really the only adjustment. It's pretty accurate. And so far, after 36 minutes, it's working a treat, to be honest.
Yeah, absolutely. I think they've been pretty good value so far. The Glenorchy Knights took the lead and have looked pretty secure in that lead. Zebras not exactly overwhelming in the chances they're creating. They've had a couple of reasonable looks, but nothing a gilt edge thus far, and just struggling to break them down. And the Knights have been very sharp when they have moved the ball forwards on those counter-attacks. Lovely turn from James. Brown wants to shimmy back inside, tried to take on Yonezawa, couldn't beat him. Hay with a deft little pass for Sanders, back to Yonezawa. Pace's touch, getting away from him, allowed Jade Clay in. Just works it out of play. It's a throw from Walsh. Goes looking for the Colonel, been well held so far. Off the head of James, Muller rising over the back, won the header. Griffin flicks it on. Walsh out the back to Harutza, manufactured away to get it forwards. James volleyed it straight to Dillon. Either side able to keep a hold of the ball just at the moment. Can the Zebras settle it down a little here? Jaden Hay, he's going to take on Toghill, his former teammate. Good run here from Hay. And Harrison gets across to put it behind for the corner. He's looked in the mood this afternoon, Jaden Hay. He's been running at the defence, but just hasn't quite been able to unlock them so far.
No, he's showed good intent down both sidelines. We've seen him move from the right centrally, now out to the left, and we've seen Riley Dillon. Samuel James has been taken off corner duty. Now Riley Dillon's been taken off corner duty as well. It'll be Nicky Edwards to swing this one in. The tall timber around the keeper goes in the Harutza direction. Well cleared by Naden, so you'll get a second chance at this one. The short corner to Riley Dillon might not be the worst option here. Not that I'm one to advocate short corners terribly often. And it'll be Edwards to swing it into the mixer. Punch by Nesta. Only as far as Little. Pace. Completely fresh aries, that one. And Brown will try and set Stewart free against Dwayne Walsh. He's got Brown in all sorts of space if he wants them. Finds Declan Brown, turns inside where there were 4 Zebras players rushing back, and Riley Dillon snuffs that one out. Just a little bit further in front of Declan Brown there, that pass. That could have been a completely different outcome.
It could have. Just like to see a little more cynicism from Dwayne Walsh there. Just take the man out and cop the yellow. Don't give him the chance to roll that through to Declan Brown all his own in the middle. It's one that worked out for him all right, but I think just cop the cheese, do something cynical, foul him, and stop that chance from ever coming into existence, because Declan Brown, if that pass had found him, he's not going to lose a foot race.
That not going too far and getting any ticks towards his D licence with that sort of play is Dwayne Walsh.
Far too fast. This one's smashed on to the roof of the grandstand, which causes fear for everyone sitting in it. There is the real worry that this thing's just going to collapse one day when the ball lands on the roof. It's that derelict and old, if you're listening, Tasmanian government, federal governments, etc.
Is there an election?
We do need some funding out this way.
I wonder what big events coming up that could potentially lead to some funding for this new grandstand that we could really use.
Well, I'm sure Bill is just tuning into Slice of Cheese, or ScoMo just on their campaign buses, just tuning into our call here this afternoon on the campaign trail. Please.
We're a lot more fair-minded than the constituents you're currently meeting out there in the suburbs.
So, Muller out wide to Riley Dillon. The Zebras with 5 minutes left before the break to try and break them down here. Toghill sticking to the task diligently and is pulled up for a foul there on Dillon, which will give Stone Cold an opportunity. Thought about taking it quickly. Eventually he'll wait for the cavalry to arrive in the form of Little and Harutza. He's got 5 to pick out in the box. And the big checking machine, certainly the most likely. Edwards with the dummy run. Then Dillon right into the middle, headed over the top by Tyler Harrison, the Knights skipper, just tracking back, had that one well under control.
He needed to, as well as the Colonel was lurking just behind, ready to pop up. Really needed that touch, did Harrison. And the Zebras have another corner. It's 3 in a couple of minutes here. They're trying to pile some pressure on the Knights' defence as it's Edwards to take. Goes near post. It's deflected, and Muller can't quite get there. Thump clear off the line in the end. The Zebras determined to get one before half-time. I thought Nicky Edwards was about to take a running throw into the pitch then. It was an interesting angle, but we'll give it to Jaden Hay. Certainly their longest thrower in their team in the Hurutsa direction, who stayed forward, and another corner for the Zebras. The Knights will be looking just to get it out of their own 18-yard box here soon.
Yeah, well, did mention 10 minutes or so ago that Knights have faded out a little late in first halves.
You're a prophet, Andrew.
And perhaps we're just seeing history repeating as the Zebras have wrestled back a little bit of momentum here. Can they make it count and get back level? Not with set-piece delivery like that, they won't. Just wasteful stuff from Riley Dillon, who's not had his best day when it's come to end product. The former Bentley Greens man. He's one of the more adventurous fullbacks in the competition, getting forwards, but hasn't been able to hurt them on the scoreboard here. Cal Griffin away from Yonezawa. Worked it to Naden. Dillon did nice defensively though. Now he looks to take on James. High fend off there. Rolls it through, and in the end, a free kick going the way of Dillon, who I thought was the one who fouled himself. So have a look at the replay there.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind a look at that replay. Dillon just with a little bit of its own argue there on Samuel James. He seemed to pass the ball without too much impediment there, did Dillon. We'll see how
the placement of that one. I reckon it's for the initial kind of Naden foul before the fend off. I reckon. Looking at the replay, oh, that he's just put it back. Either way, bit stiff. I reckon James. He's caught one in the schnoz and he's conceded a free kick. So Dillon and Edwards again hovering over it. Dillon has been hitting everything over the top so far. Can he find his range, or will he defer to Edwards on this occasion? He does, and Edwards has got the same disease. Launches it way over the bar. No threat to the goal as we tick towards half-time.
Not sure what was in the Zebras drink bottles when they had that drink break at about the 14th minute mark, but it's something that just means you cannot keep a set piece down for love nor money. Every single one has gone side netting or over the top pretty much. And we'll see what they do about that in the second half. And there's Nesta. Gets this one down the line. Heggie with the flick on. Beats Walsh, and can't beat Hurutsa, who's doing us a wonderful favour here by just really battering this tired old 1960s roof on the grandstand here at KG5. Just putting another few dents in it. Not that it hasn't got enough already in it. Clay will take the throw in. And this one's going to be launched down the line. Brown wanted it. And he'll eventually go over his head. Good flick header there from Stuart Brown. Missed out by Yonezawa. Cal Griffin. Well, good first time shot in the end there from Griffin. Maltman was a yard or two advanced, and there was space there to loop it over the keeper, but not a bit too much purchase on it. Did the Knights centre midfielder, and probably the furthest forward we've seen him so far today as well. Does usually play a slightly more advanced role than we've seen him play so far this afternoon. As Sanders can't get underneath that one. Brown wanted to play it to Stewart, and does. Naden's in a good pocket of space on the far side, but can't quite get it there. And then Yonezawa is fouled by Cal Griffin. Good smart foul there from the centre midfielder. Nothing too reckless, but just enough to break up the players. Hurutsa whacks that one down the sideline. Inside to Sanders. Wants the return ball. Does Hay. Gets onto it. In through. Oh, good save. In the end there. That is a lovely build-up from the Zebras. Getting in on the far side. Jaden Hay. It's actually the defender who's come across there, Jade Clay, to get a foot in. I thought that was off the leg of Nesta. Jade Clay has done very well.
Yeah, just reached around with the leg and made a crucial block to deny pace. The best chance of the game, really. Penalty aside, as Dillon again goes back post, and this one almost lands. Sanders there. Another look at that one, but that wasn't too far away. I thought he'd overhit it initially, but the Knights deal with it particularly well.
Sanders has got to be doing better there on first watching that live.
Dillon just flapping at it completely was Nestor, and there is no one near Colonel Sanders. And a big chance goes begging.
There's not
that would have been a real coach killer in the 47th minute.
There's not too many other players in the state I would rather in that position than the Colonel Sanders, and that will be the last action of a pulsating first half here between the Hobart Zebras and the Glenorchy Knights. Knights 1-0 in front thanks to a penalty to Declan Brown, which also caused the only substitution in the game. Matthew Nowicki coming off. We'll get you an update on his status at halftime as we'll run through the match highlights for you there. Knights will be pretty content here with how the first half has played. They've set up really well defensively. Good bank of 4 defenders and 2 holding midfielders and just getting forward when necessary. And here is Nowicki getting the header and then getting absolutely poleaxed by Jan Harutza afterwards. Stratos Plomaritis, no hesitation in pointing to the spot, and no hesitation either from Declan Brown. Zebras, well, they've shown some good intent in getting to the final third, but the delivery of set pieces and balls into the box have been pretty limited in their quality here in the first half. And I think with that, we will let the match highlights run out for you. We'll see you soon in about 10 minutes for a gripping second half to come between these two storied rivals.